Again? So it's, boy, well, first of all, I cannot start the next session without saying thank you, Francesca. And because I'm a huge fan of Me and My Fear book, and it was really, really interesting to know how you create and see all those sketches. It was amazing. Thank you so much. So now it's a great pleasure for me to introduce you to our first showcase of this project today. And it's the ICEKit Say Something, that it was developed by Lucia Santos, the Portuguese teacher, and 3 other teachers from Norway, Italy, and the Netherlands, right? I was the mentor of these 4 ladies, meaning that I try to help them, guide them, support them throughout the whole process. And the result of that experience is going to be shared with us in a minute by Lucia. She will share her own experience and give us some evidence of work done by the other teachers, by the Italian colleague Donatella. The picture book, Say Something, by Peter Reynolds, doesn't have a common narrative. I'm not sure if I can say this, but the group thought that it had lots of potential to give students a voice and say whatever their concerns could be, and also to show them that we can say something in different ways. Not only words, but through music, painting, drama, poetry, you name it. So our voices and their voices could be heard in different ways. So, but now Lucia is going to explain more what she has done, and the floor is yours, Lucia.
Welcome. Let's start then. So this was my group. My mentor was Sonia Farinha, and my partners were from Portugal, Italy, Norway, and Netherlands. Netherlands was the only one that didn't stay with us till the end, but we all had functions in our group. I was the betweening housekeeper. Italy, by Donatella Pastura, was the coordinator, and Karina Flanstag from Norway was the scribe and the editor. So this was my class. I'm from Agrupamento Patrício Prazeres here in Lisbon. My school is Rosa Lobato Faria, which is named after a famous poetess and actress. And my class was from the 4th grade. I have 17 students. 2 were from Bangladesh, 1 from Nepal, 1 from Brazil, and their age range was between 9 and 11 years old. So they were chosen from a group of 4 different 4th grade students, and I asked them if they wanted to participate, which there was an important thing for me to do, was not to oblige them to do anything they didn't want to. So they were very willing to participate in this project, and so they did. So this is our picture book from Peter H. Reynolds from Orchard Books, Scholastic 2019. Here we have an image of the author, and here is it's a nice video where he presents his book in a lovely way. My students loved it because they said he was very charming when talking about his own book. He's also the illustrator, which is lovely too. So this is a book about the power that our words have in society, our actions too. And they can come in many forms, like words, music, courage, art, poetry. They all have a stand when we want to make a difference in the world. I'm sorry. So the first to introduce the book to them, to make them a little bit curious about it, was to talk about the symbolic aspects of color. So I set a set of board cards on a whiteboard, and they had to associate it word cards related to emotions and feelings, and then emojis later. And we all discussed it if they thought the associations were well done. And then I gave them a color palette with the meaning of colors. And we thought about that once and twice and the third time, because he said, oh, I never thought blue was that related to that too. So it was a good introduction to it. Then we went to this, to set the story context. We did exercises for them to realize how emotions play a role in our life and how we can be diminished when bad emotions are transmitted to others. And we had, they draw and cut some hearts. This activity was called a crumpled heart. And I had a teddy bear, which was called Mr. Very Nice. So Mr. Very Nice was standing up, and we all started saying then, the paper was on their hands, negative things about, to them, to the Mr. Nice. So most of the things my students said were about body shame, mainly, which I never thought that fourth grade students had already body shame in their ideas. So they said, you're ugly, your teeth are terrible, you're not tall enough, you're very fat. And every time they said that, they would crumple the heart in their hands, and the teddy bear would be lowering each time, like in shame. So at the end, the teddy bear was already defeated, was down on the garbage bin, and they now had to think with me the impact emotions had. Why did it that the Mr. Nice was every time showing a depressed mood? How can we help people when they are in that state? What is our power in changing people's minds too and words? So then we had a second stage where would they say lovely things. You're interesting, your eyes are beautiful, you have a nice expression. And so the teddy bear would be sitting then first, and at the end he would be almost standing tall, but not as at the beginning. And they would unfold the crumbled heart, and they realized that emotions now had changed Mr. Very Nice. He was not very nice, he was just nice. So this is the impact our words and action have. They go a long run in our life. We have to decide which marks we want to bring to the other individuals, either good, empowering, or negative and destructive. So Donatella from Italy, this was her activity with her students. They also enjoyed it very much. And then we went to another stage. So I showed them first the book, and without even showing the title, I said, what is it going to be, this book about? Suggestions. And then we talked about what it might be. They all thought it was going to be about music, or the teacher is going to teach us grammar, and it's about grammar, you're just covering the title. So, so then we thought, we looked at it, and we looked at the speech bubbles and read them aloud and saw the vocabulary. They still have on the second grade of English, so it's difficult for them to interpret everything. But they noticed how some of the words are in capital letters and bolded, and why were they in this particular state here. So what was its importance? Oops, sorry. So then we did the first reading aloud, and where we would stop many times to talk about the size of the lettering, the images, even the colors, because now they can relate colors correctly. Why if the colors were different, would they change their meaning, or the book changes meaning? And they started making their speech balloons for the things they really wanted to change in our society. Of course, we have, as you all know, been going through a tough time related to war, so their concerns were mainly related to the war and how it would affect the world, and here in Portugal to themselves and their parents. So in Italy, we have amazing art collaboration from her students, as you can see, and the worries are also related to our planet and to war. So we did afterwards a matching game to see if now they could remember everything they knew about the book, and some of the words that were most important. Like, for example, I did a matching game I said just the first sentence. If you see someone lonely, they would have to search it and say, I remember, it was that. And they would did it correctly, 100%. Then they wrote their message. We decided as a group it would be in rocks, but I'm from a tape school which we have difficult students, so I couldn't paint rocks, or otherwise they would kill each other. So we didn't have leaves because it was not autumn. We tried to search it, so we did in cardboards, and we exposed their messages. First within the school, then primary students came and see, and we talked about it too. So the school was involved, and then we set them outside the school for parents to see and to talk about it, because we have a Google Classroom where parents can talk to us and tell us the importance of it. In Italy and in Norway, they did the activity with the stones. They're quite lovely. And they set it out around the school. And then in Italy, they invited the grandparents to come to school to talk with the youngest generation. So it was a day of union, a family union. Then later on, people were invited to come to school and to do some workshops, paint rocks too, and leave their message too. So going now to the part 3, taking access circle. It's a time where they had some reflections about all the work they have done during this project. And these are their conclusions. So what they have learned during this ICEKit was how to talk to almost everybody, how to think about the others and respect them, how to help others, how not to bully their colleagues mainly, how to recycle more, and what they shouldn't do, meaning moral values. So, and the war was always a key point in our work, and I had a lot of work that was done with the head teacher related to it, geography, political, for them to have a grasp of what's really going on. So, what did they say that they would need to do? They said they needed to talk more. They are still kids, of course, but I thought we play a lot, we have a lot of games, but we don't really talk about the really important things in life. They have to communicate more, maybe have a standing point in society, like going to Instagram or Twitter with their parents. Send message to each other like, your colleague is bullying me, please help me, asking for help too. So taking a stand, not watching something and intervening, mainly to the people that pollute the world, and making a gesture. Sometimes we don't have to talk, we just have to be present, letting the other know that we are there. So taking action to say something made them feel more engaged in the internet platforms, anxious with the surrounding world. They were very afraid that the war would come also to Portugal, and that their parents would be unemployed. So this was something that we had to talk during the whole project. The need to have more conversations, they have to be more assertive in school and in life, the need to be a better person, more confident and ejected, and that being alone is not sometimes a bad thing, because there's a very big world out there, and friends can be found anywhere. So the impacts it had on my students, mainly these conclusions, that a book is more than its content. They have to explore it deeply and in more meaningful ways too. You can tell and retell a story as many times as you want. There's always your point of view there somewhere, and you can find others' point of view there. So stereotypes, bullying and prejudice arise from ignorance and lack of empathy. And school, they said, plays a big role here if it's really active, and the teachers are really active too on it. That being young is not an excuse not to participate in life. They have to grow up. Now they are 9, 10 years old. They felt the need to grow up to what's coming to them. Growing up is not just not being at school, it's also learning what's happening in the world, talking to the parents and the grandparents, is being aware of other things besides their common space. And that collaborative work is productive, and funny if you're not evaluating the students. So, the impact it had on my classroom and our classrooms. So students are now more engaged and confident. They had a boost in creativity, especially in arts. They have better assessment skills. For example, they all positioned themselves in a good mark, but not very good, because they said, we love the book, we did everything, but my English is not as good as I wanted, so I'm not very good, I'm just good. And I said, wow, amazing, you've really grown up. So they are now very spontaneous in their relation to oral production and interactions. They're not afraid or shy anymore. They have a higher relationship standards and moral values because they were, this school is now is, the playground is safer, the environment is safer for everyone now, and the realization of their powers as citizens. So their favorite activity was singing along a song in every classes that we have, which we found on the internet. And they all complied that there should have been more e-twinning meetings because they enjoyed seeing the other partners. And that was a way to deconstruct stereotypes. Like they said, oh, not all Norwegians are blonde. And I said, yes, of course. Wow, a lot of students in Italy too, yes, yes. So that was good for them to talk and see each other in the e-twinning conference. So these are our messages that we collaborate after the e-twinning meeting. And as you can see, the preoccupation is the need for peace, respect for nature. But one thing I really do like is that gratitude that children express, and we often forget, is thank you, universe. So that was very nice, refreshing. So it's the end. I hope you have liked it and enjoyed working later on this book. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia. Thank you so much. Well, as I've said before, this picture book hasn't got the common narrative, but it's a great opportunity to give time to children and give them a possibility of saying what are their concerns. And these children are 9-year-olds, and it seems like their main concern it's war or peace. So it's, I wouldn't think about this, taking into account the 9-year-olds. So I think it's important to give them time, us teachers, us parents, the ones who are parents, to give time to their children to say what are their concerns, say what's on their minds. Well, and having...
No questions.
No, there are some questions. And having this, if they don't have questions, I have one question for you. Can I say it afterwards? Or no?
Can I?
Okay. So you know that you have the 2 stars in the wish to fill it in. So you can say what were the 2 stars from this showcase and what is your wish. And you can write it there, right, on the Mentimeter? And then share. Yeah? Can you see the questions, Lucia?
So how did the e-twinning connection affect the children in their learning? Because it's nice when we have in common, because we did an introduction video to our partners in Norway and Italy. But when they talked to each other, said, hello, my message was this, they said, we have a lot of message in common. And that was the most, the effect it had on learning. So even though we are 3 different countries, we all have things that link us, that we have in common, the same preoccupations, for example.
Lucia, I think that's time managing and span. How did you do that?
So time managing, I gave extra lessons to my students to not to go against the standard curricula, but that was because I wanted to. And we had time in that way to do a lot of outdoor activities. which is for me nice to step out of the classroom and let them freely wander the school, along with me, of course. So,
What were the main obstacles you encountered using this picture book? Or if
I
there
didn't
were-
have any because it's well written, well illustrated, and you can work whatever topic you want of it with it. So I didn't have none of it.
What was the most interesting reaction from children during the project?
First, I think it was the fact that they felt they were chosen for this project. They felt special. And I think that's one of the most important things for me in school. We have to make our students also feel that they are special. And when they said, we are chosen for the project, we're going to give you 150%. We're not going to let you down. And I said, great. So I think these projects are important because they truly believe now we're going to work with other countries. We are great, we are special, yes. We're not going to fail.
Lucy, there is a question there that it's similar to one of my own. What was the school or parents' reaction to this project? Or what was the family's feedback?
The family's feedback was all right when they learned about Erasmus, but they said, they try to participate as much as they can, even though we had COVID a lot of time in our school. So they came to the school, they wrote on the classroom, Google Classroom, their opinions, and if they liked it, and were we going to do it next year too? And I said, I don't know, of course.
I think you've already explained that.
Yeah.
What was the option to not painting the rocks? Was it related to time management? I don't
No,
think
it was
so.
not related to time management, it was related to safety. Mine and theirs.
The school safety. There's a funny question there. How did Mr. Very Nice rate the whole activity?
How was Mr. Nice?
It's just a comment. I think so. I don't know if there are more questions. Well, I have another one. Because you said that children's feedback was that they would like more meetings on
Yes.
e-twinning. So do you intend to continue using e-twinning platform to
Yes,
communicate across
yes.
borders with other children?
Yes, we all did together, and there was a lot of people, a lot of noise, even though we followed but they wanted to talk to them individually. What's your name? Can you tell me your name? Why do you like that color? And they didn't have, of course, we didn't have time to do that. But I think it's funny, and they would develop their skills too if they had time to participate like this, to talk, ask questions, answering questions.
Was it your first time using
No,
e-twinning
I had
platform?
already done 2 projects.
Okay, there is another question here too. How much English word content and grammar did the children learn with the project? Was it more or less than they would have learned via school book lessons?
Well, this way they learned intuitively. So they learned the things in the book without having to worry that they were going to be assessed or they really have to know. Because now they know if you see something, they know already if some of the if clauses, for example, and they are on the 4th grade. So it was going to come naturally with time. My concern was not giving them topics to study or grammar assumptions to make. My concern was to change their minds a little bit, try to change a little bit their minds.
And the other thing, the other question is, do you see potential for interdisciplinary work in this project?
I did a lot of it with the head teacher because now all my students know where Ukraine is, Russia is, because the head teacher showed them maps. She even talked about political and geocentric aspects. We did a work related to clothes, how they dress. We've Googled online and the internet for it. They Googled food, and then my school got three different students from Ukraine, and they said, "Oh, I know where you live. I know where is it in the map. I know what you wear. I know what you eat." And they said, "What?" So, but it was nice to. And now they have a more realistic approach to geography, for example.
Okay, the other question that is there is how can we join to the project for the next school year? Well, we are working on it, so I hope for the next year we will have the project in the, I don't know, Gateway platform, but we don't have much information now, but we will have soon. I hope so. I hope so. Thank you, Lucia, and a big thank because Lucia was the first one. She was a brave teacher.